Compliance isn't something a blockchain automatically gives you. It's something you design for. In this topic, we'll look at how Hyperledger Fabric can create trustworthy evidence and where legal, operational, and governance responsibilities still remain. So far, we've built the technical stack step by step: Fabric fundamentals, application development, deployment, and operations. Now we connect those capabilities to governance outcomes: evidence, auditability, and regulatory readiness. Compliance is broader than using compliant technology. It means proving that laws, contracts, security requirements, industry standards, and internal policies are actually being met. Fabric helps by creating trustworthy evidence, including audit trails, identity-linked actions, endorsement records, and configuration history. But the organization still owns the surrounding controls: process design, data quality, governance, and oversight. Regulatory readiness means you can explain, prove, and reproduce what happened when asked. Auditability is strongest when evidence is created as transactions move through the network, not reconstructed after the fact. Each proposal carries identity context. Endorsements show which organizations approved it. Ordering turns approved activity into committed history. Configuration updates also become evidence because they record policy, membership, and permission changes. When these records feed monitoring or an audit repository, auditors can trace who acted, under what authority, what changed, and why the result can be trusted. Fabric separates current truth from historical proof. The world state answers, what is true now? The blockchain answers, how did it get here? Each committed transaction carries a transaction ID, read or write set, validation result, timestamp, identity, and block reference. Chain code and block events translate those technical facts into business milestones, such as created, approved, transferred, recalled, or settled. That mapping lets dashboards and evidence stores reconstruct decisions without relying on a separate spreadsheet. Endorsement policies turn approval into verifiable evidence. A transaction proposal is not trusted just because one peer created it. The network checks whether the required organization signed it, such as both the manufacturer and the regulator. At commit time, validation confirms that the policy was met before the record enters the ledger. Strong policies improve accountability and separation of duties, but they only have audit value when the required endorsers reflect real business authority. Configuration changes need the same governance discipline. A membership update, policy change, anchor peer update, ordering service change, or capability upgrade should move from proposal to review to approval to the required organization signatures. Fabric records the accepted update in a new configuration block with an effective block number. For auditors, that block should connect back to the approval ticket and decision record. If the change is unauthorized or undocumented, compliance confidence drops quickly. Identity governance is another foundation of audit readiness. In Fabric, an MSP defines which organizations are trusted, while certificates prove which cryptographic identity performed an action. Auditors also need the business record behind that certificate: who was approved, what role they held, and when access changed. Keep evidence for onboarding, authorization, renewals, suspensions, revocation, expiration, and offboarding. That lifecycle trail proves access was valid when used and removed when no longer appropriate. Requirements vary by industry, but Fabric projects often reuse the same evidence patterns. Data protection asks who accessed data, why, and for how long. Finance emphasizes approval, separation of duties, and reconciliation. Supply chains need provenance and custody records. Healthcare adds identity, consent, and confidentiality. Operational and industry standards focus on repeatable controls and auditability. The key lesson is simple. Fabric can strengthen evidence and enforcement, but it must be paired with off-chain governance, policies, and procedures. To make that pairing practical, start with traceability. Take a regulation, standard, or internal policy and translate it into a clear control objective. Then connect that objective to Fabric features, operating procedures, evidence sources, and accountable owners. If Fabric cannot satisfy the requirement alone, record the gap and add compensating controls. The goal is an audit-ready chain from requirement to implementation to evidence to finding. Evidence management is broader than keeping the blockchain. A Fabric network needs the full story. What happened on the ledger, who was allowed to act, what configuration changed, and what the infrastructure was doing at the time. That includes blocks, transaction IDs, signatures, validation results, certificates, revocations, peer and orderer logs, CI/CD records, tickets, approvals, and incident notes. Good evidence connects technical facts to business decisions, so audits can reconstruct events with confidence. That evidence only has value if it is complete, unchanged, and available for as long as required. Start with retention rules tied to legal, regulatory, contractual, and business needs. Protect storage with access controls, tamper-evident safeguards, and legal holds. Every handoff should leave a trail. Who collected, reviewed, exported, analyzed, or transferred the evidence? Finally, test backups, recovery, and archives, so evidence remains usable when an auditor or investigator asks. Regulatory readiness should not be a scramble at audit time. It should be a practiced workflow. Start with standard questions, such as who approved a transaction or when access changed. Retrieve evidence from dashboards that connect business records to identities, approvals, and transaction IDs. Validate the evidence, reconstruct the incident or decision, and create a clear narrative. Then route it through compliance, legal, security, operations, and business owners for sign-off before submission. Compliance-ready Fabric solutions are designed, not assumed. The ledger supports auditability, but evidence also depends on identity, configuration history, logs, approvals, and external controls. Preserve that evidence and map it to real requirements. Next, we extend this thinking into privacy, data protection, AI-era risk, and production readiness.